Hey y'all, it's another double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk. Wow, we have a battle of two Australian supernovas and Princess Aussie versus Genesis. You also have Lil J-Boogie getting her revenge on the Brat Pack. There's just so much that has happened in the past 2 weeks, but we are here to talk about it. This is Steph and Cat Talk. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs and the Ruben Studders. More once you discover. For all of the lovers of Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers of Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers of Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it up the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate.
Hey y'all, like I said, welcome to the vibe. This is Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Happy Thursday. Of course, this is your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, contributing writer for Daily DDT, and color commentator featured on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, Spartan Wrestling, and soon to be Black Girls Wrestle in September. And I am just so happy to be back in front of you guys to talk about this great show. Stuff has been happening, celebrations have been taking place, and accomplishments are being made. So that's why we had to move some stuff around. But we are here, and of course, I'm not alone. I am with my fantastic co host, the creator of In Cat We Trust, an author and writer for Daily DDT herself, as well as the creator of the Women of Color in Wrestling panel, and a super mom who is just coming off of like the heels of both of her daughters graduating and moving to the next level. And that is just so amazing. Congrats to both of them. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
Hi, nice intro as always. I'm fine, tired, but fine. Happy to be here.
Yes, I can imagine only being like tired after all of that amazingness going on, but you deserve it. Like I always say, you deserve it, they deserve it. You guys work extremely hard and you're just always excellent. So, just the celebration of everything is just amazing. And also, just congratulations in general to any person, that's graduated or had a prom or all the things, in this past summer. And I hope you're enjoying your summer vacation. There's so many concerts going on, so many celebrations going on. It's just a lot happening this summer already. I know down here, it's burning up, and we just got off of a Juneteenth celebration, so it's just a lot going on. But of course, we are here to talk about the past two episodes of Wow Women of Wrestling Superheroes, which have been absolutely amazing in terms of story and in terms of action. So, of course, if you are in the comments and you want to join in on the conversation and talk about any parts of the episodes that you may have liked, please do that. And also share this live if you have a chance on Twitter, on YouTube, and everywhere else. And also on Facebook. Thank you for watching and just share anytime you see us. Of course, you have Eric Isaac, who is just in the chat, parked and ready for us before we even come on. Thank you for watching. Saying that his birthday is tomorrow and
Happy
he's turning
birthday.
52. Happy birthday, Eric. I definitely would not have known that you were turning 52, but that's amazing. So, congrats to you, and I hope you have a great day tomorrow. So, yeah, it's just a lot of celebratory stuff happening. So, Katrina, before we get into the episodes proper, how are you feeling about the trajectory of WoW over these past two episodes?
I, I, I'm excited. I feel like we're definitely getting new, like people are kind of finding their own footing, breaking away from things they were, say, a few weeks ago. And I think it's good for them. I think it's good for us as fans as well. But I think it's good to kind of see these new, like, aspects of their characters kind of take off. And I'm excited to see what we're going to get from them in the next few weeks.
Yeah, me too. It really feels like, aside from groups or people who used to be in factions sort of finding their own footing, you have a lot of the WoW superheroes even adding more to their repertoire in terms of how they battle inside of the ring. And that is also very exciting as well. So it's just, the ante is definitely being upped, even as this season, hasn't even wrapped up yet, but at the same time, there's just still lots of cool stuff going on. So I'm just really excited to get into both of these episodes. So the first episode is called Dangerous Divas, that aired on June the 15th and the 16th of 2024. On this episode, they showed a recap of the Brat Pack attacking Little J-Boogie and Steffi Slays, of course, defending her. Because, of course, for those who may not remember, after the Brat Pack lost a match, they were upset at Lil J-Boogie and placed all the blame on her and attacked her with her boombox and slammed her in the face and proceeded to jump her. So Steffi Slays, being the bully buster that she is, decided to come to her defense. So this leads us into the first match in this episode, which was Steffi Slays and Little J-Boogie versus BK Rhythm and Gigi Gianni. And this was a very tag team match heavy episode. I tend to enjoy it when this happens because usually when you watch wrestling shows, like maybe you'll get one tag team match, and then the rest of the matches will be like singles matches or maybe even a triple threat or something. But the idea that you can, it shakes things up when you see an episode that's just full of tag team action, and this episode was definitely full of it, and I enjoyed it very much. So, um, they told the story of Lil J Boogie and everything that happened with her. And then they also talked about Steffi Slays' start at WoW and how she started at 17 years old and how now she's just grown into an adult woman and still a WoW OG. So I thought that was really interesting. But of course, BK had to get in the microphone and give us some bars, which is, of course, Katrina's least favorite part, but we got to do it. Um, BK said, "This one's personal. Little J Boogie, you danced up a storm, but in the Brat Pack, you failed to perform. You never listened to a word, so we had to kick you to the curb. And Steffi Slays, you can't mind your own business. We're gonna beat you both down, and everyone's gonna witness." And everybody booed her. And for probably the first time, we heard chants from the WoW audience members saying, "BK sucks, BK sucks." And I was just like, dang. Like it took for it, like I never thought that that would happen because of course we've heard her get booed time and time again, but the fact that they full on started chanting BK sucks after everything she said about Steffi and Lil J Boogie, it was just like, dang, we are really like shifting gears now. So that was interesting. This match started with Steffi Slays and BK in the ring, and BK basically tried to get the upper hand on Steffi Slays during the first part of the match, but Steffi had it scouted, and she blocked all of the arm drags that BK tried to put on her, and then she was smacking her in her abs a lot of the time. And then eventually BK actually started isolating Steffi away from Lil J Boogie so she couldn't tag her in. And then there was one point where Steffi actually landed a crossbody splash to BK, but then after that point and after she started trying to like submit her out, she finally tagged in Little J Boogie, who hit a double elbow drop for a 2 count. And if there was anybody whose fierceness and anger was on display in this match, it was definitely Lil J Boogie because she had a score to settle. She had a mission, and she was really mad because this is a nice girl and she thought she had some friends, and she was just trying to beat up on Gigi and BK as much as she could. And then for all of the chemistry that we've seen Gigi and BK have, it seemed like Steffi and J Boogie had a lot more chemistry on their part as well, utilizing each other and getting the upper hand on the Brat Pack. And eventually, Steffi Slays drop kicked Gigi out of the ring, and Lil J Boogie got a pinfall on BK Rhythm, and they won the match. So this was amazing. This was such an amazing moment for Lil J Boogie for getting her revenge for those girls being mean to her. And then, of course, David McClain got in the ring and started interviewing them and asking them how they felt and stuff. So it was really good. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team match and the performance of Lil J Boogie and Steffi as a team?
Yeah, I definitely thought Steffi and Little J Boogie definitely had some good chemistry. I was actually not to say that, 'cause I felt like when Little J Boogie kind of joined Gigi and BK Rhythm, she kind of fell into it pretty well as well, where like she was able to kind of work around the dynamic they had before she joined them. And so maybe this speaks to her as being able to kind of adapt herself or adapt how she does things with people she's teaming up with. And so I thought that was definitely a bonus. Like kudos for her for that. But you know how I feel about Miss BK's bars, and I was like, girl, like you doing all this. See, every time I feel like she does extra is when she does this, and what happens? She loses every time. I feel like this is the time you focus on more important things, like I don't know, maybe winning a match instead of you saying whatever you're saying in the middle of the ring. But I do think this was a good match, and I think it was rightfully earned in regards to J Boogie, just because she felt the way. I still think, and she's young, but sometimes you gotta see things for how they are. And I feel like it's different if she would have came into it really not knowing what was going on, but she kind of teamed up with them knowing they were kind of mean. And so I'm still like, yes, defend and stand up for yourself, but also like you cannot tell me you was just oblivious. It's different when it's one of those sneaky type mean when you don't see it right away. But I think when she first joined up with them, it was very obvious that they were mean. It was even more obvious when they have teamed up, when they were doing mean things. She wasn't, but they were while she was with them. And so I'm like, you should have had your eyes like just watch it, like the eye emojis, just being aware of what could have possibly happened. But even with all that said, I do think, good for her that she was able to get a win, and good for Steffi for wanting to come and help her in this to make sure she wasn't alone in the match. But it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. And yeah, you can say that, Lil J Boogie definitely knew that they were, being mean because even from their first interaction, they were mean to her. But yet and still she was, trying to be friends with them. And maybe a part of me low key feels like maybe she felt that she could change them, or maybe they wouldn't be so rough with her or whatever. But I feel like usually how you start something is usually how you end it too. And considering they were mean to her at first, they definitely were consistent with ending their relationship in the way that they started it, right? So Lil J Boogie, I guess, was just a little bit naive when it came to that. But now she's learned her lesson, and hopefully, she has a steady friend in Steffi, in the idea that, they can work together more. And I did like the way that they worked together. It was really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed the match, and I was really glad that Lil J Boogie got her lick back. She definitely deserved it. So yeah, that was really cool. So we move into match number two, which was Las Bandidas. That's Angel Rose and Sylvia Sanchez versus Chantilly Chella and Holidead. Now, this was different for me because usually you see Las Bandidas with Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney. But of course, since they had their falling out and they disrespected her, she is no longer aligned with them, and she's really only aligned with Tormenta now. So it was almost like they looked kind of naked without her. It was definitely interesting. But even though they did not have Sophia Lopez, that didn't stop their motivation of trying to win. And this match was definitely different in the sense that Holiday and Chantilly Chella are having an opposites attract kind of partnership here, and it was still pretty good. And Holiday was able to show a lot of her power throughout the match. Then you had Chantilly Chella gaining the upper hand, in the beginning with her kicks and stuff. And there were a couple of moments where it looked like Angel Rose was being dominated by both Chantilly and Holiday. But then Sylvia, of course, would come in every now and again and change things up a bit. But it really looked like Chantilly Chella and Holiday could have won the match if it weren't for the idea of Sylvia going in and knocking Holiday off of the apron, and then Angel just took advantage and pinned Chantilly. I really feel like if it weren't for those underhanded tactics, then maybe Chantilly and Holiday could have won. But it was kind of like I wouldn't say it was one-sided because it wasn't, but at the same time, like towards like the beginning of the match, it really felt like Chantilly and Holiday had it together for the most part. But Las Bandidas won, and they're still out to prove that they could very well qualify to face the Mother Truckers for those tag team titles if they wanted to. So yeah, it was really surprising, but Las Bandidas definitely won the match out. It was a pretty standard and solid match. So Kat, how did you feel about the performance of Las Bandidas without the motivation of Sophia Lopez?
It was surprising, I guess because we were used to kind of seeing them with Sophia Lopez, and in light of everything that has happened, especially with their, I guess, disrespect, I want to say, towards her, I guess it makes sense that they wouldn't still be like aligned with her in this regard. But otherwise, I thought they worked how they normally work together. As far as they have really good chemistry. I've always felt like not that it wasn't with like when it was Vivian was with them. Before we got the team changed up, I thought it was like, all right. I thought they worked really, really well together. But in this regard, it was just like, Holidead and Chantilly are like kind of opposites attract in a way. Very different from each other. And maybe that might have just been one of those situations that even though they have been on a roll to an extent since they teamed up, that, Los Banditas just have a little bit more time as a team. And sometimes that's all you need, a little bit of an edge you may have over somebody else. And so, but I thought it was a good match, but I just think in this regard, Los Banditas just kind of had a little bit more together in this regard than, Holiday and Chantilly.
Yeah, they did have it together a little bit more. And that piece about them having being a team a lot longer than Chantilly and Holiday definitely could have played a part there. But I think it was just really surprising to me because Holiday is just so dominant. And she's just so imposing. So it's just any match in which she doesn't win, it's just kind of like, huh? But other than that, like the match was a pretty solid second match going into it. Las Banditas definitely has something to prove um going into, their pursuit of things. And yeah, it was just pretty good. And weirdly enough, this video is like StreamYard does this thing where if you like react a certain way, it does a bubble. And every time I was listening to you, but yet having kind of like a stern face, it kept doing a thumbs down. So that's not what was StreamYard is hilarious with all the stuff that they add in. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and even though it was kind of different to look at, it Las Banditas is, highly motivated at this point. Still missing Vivian Rivera though. Still missing her. Every time I see them I think about her and it's just like, God dang. Vivian's gone. But, other than that, they did a pretty okay job. So after that match, they showed a recap of the Beast winning the Wild World title from Abilene Maverick, and it's just always sweet to see that footage over and over again, simply because the Beast is just awesome, and she just got her title back the way that she said that she would, and the way that she told us that she would. So it's just always great to sort of recap that moment and relive that over and over again. So that was cool. So after that, we went into match number 3, which was another tag team match between Team IQ Superior, that's Classmaster and the Disciplinarian, of course, out there with Samantha Smart, going up against the new tag team of the Dojo Defenders, Karakai and Tara Strike, aka Tootie Lynn. We love you so much. Um, so this is their second match that they've had televised on WoW, and I was really happy to see them again, considering the first time we saw them, they did go up against the Carlson twins, the highly decorated Carlson sisters. And it was a losing effort, but they said they took it and they learned from it. So it was good to see them fight in this tag team match again. Even though it felt like it was essentially 3-on-2 because you have Samantha Smart always out there just cheating and just being all kinds of ratchet, for her team, but it was just frustrating. But the disciplinarian, who we haven't really seen a whole lot of in this season, but every time she does come out, she performs incredibly well. She took advantage of Kara Kai in the beginning. And even though Kara tried to light her up with a few kicks and everything, the disciplinarian was just really powerful and just thrusting her around and slamming her down with clubbing blows and everything. Like, it was a couple of moments where I was just wondering, like, if Kara was really going to be okay, because she was ragdolling her a couple of times. And then, of course, you have the Classmaster coming in with her really tall and statuesque self, just taking advantage of that and isolating Karakai. But once she was able to tag in Tara, Tara was able to make a really great difference, in the match, because she was fired up and she was ready to give all kinds of kicks and so many different moves to the Classmaster and the disciplinarian. Like, she just doesn't back down. And that's just one of the things I just love about watching her as a wrestler in and out of WoW. But they wound up getting the upper hand when the Dojo Defenders tried to hit one of their double team moves, and Tara got tripped up by Samantha Smart and kept her from, tag from hitting the move. And then Karakai had a double suplex, basically, well, hanging suplex done on her. And then they pinned her for the 1, 2, 3, and IQ Superior won the match. Sad face. So after they won, they had a lot of stuff to say, and I mean Samantha, because she's the mouthpiece for them. And she said, "We're awesome, aren't we? The Kung Fu Pandas were no match for us." And I was just like, "Kung Fu Pandas? That is so rude." Well, that wasn't even the match we came for. We wanted the champions. David McLean, just like all of you, is living proof of the inverse ratio of the size of the mouth and the size of the brain. You have to be dumb, stupid, or slow to overlook our team, which you all clearly are. We can take any title in this company if you, David, weren't in our way. And tonight we proved ourselves against those Dojo defenders, and you can officially classify them as extinct. Excellent work, ladies. And that was the end of that. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and what Samantha had to say afterwards?
I thought the match was good. We haven't seen the defenders in a while, and so it was kind of nice to see them again. Like, okay, they had their debut, and then we haven't seen them. But again, sometimes with WoW, we do take a break from some people, and then we kind of see them back. And so it's one of the things I do appreciate about WoW and the women there. With that being said, I do think, and not that I like necessarily how the way IQ Superior run things, or how they like act towards things. I don't like it, but I do like that in regard. I feel like they really worked really well this time. Like, not that they don't, but I have been saying, I feel like I say this every time she's on screen, but with in particular to the disciplinarian, it's like, yes, use what you have. And so I feel like every time we see her now again, she's using what she has, and she's showcasing more and more like what her ability is. And I think this was a really good match to kind of showcase what I like about her, again, about like her size and stature, as far as using it to your best advantage. And it worked out for them. As far as what Samantha said, I'm not surprised, because they've been trying to get themselves into a title picture for some time. She's been trying to get them in there. And so the fact that she felt probably this was like beneath them, to go to people who just, women who just debuted not so long ago, they're probably like, we're past this, like we want the champions. And so I wasn't surprised by it. Did she say it a bit rude? Yeah. I think she did, but I'm not surprised either. As she's been kind of alluding to that. She's one of the people involved who's been alluding that they wanted the tag team championships, and here we are, with her kind of saying, well, this is what we want. And so I don't know what that goes forward as far as who's the, how this playing out, since it seems like the Mother Truckers still have their own beef dealing with like top tier and everything. And so it's like, I don't know how this is going to play out in some capacity. But yes, I clearly, I think, going to probably at some point get some match between them and the Mother Truckers.
Yeah, it's interesting that Samantha would say that, because it seems like everybody at this point is gunning for the Mother Truckers. But I am happy, because that's what I said. That was one of the things that I said that I definitely wanted, was people and tag teams other than the Carlson sisters challenging for the tag titles. And it can definitely be argued that the Classmaster and the Disciplinarian would make a very imposing tag team, to be champions. Like that would be amazing for them in that regard. And the idea that they felt like the Dojo Defenders were beneath them was just really, of course it was very disrespectful to Tara and Kara, but at the same time, like they're still just as good and they're a tag team that's hungry to prove themselves. So don't just think that, just because you're bigger than them or just because you have your sights set elsewhere that this doesn't deserve your attention. Like you got to do one thing at a time. I'm saying that because that's something that I struggle with. But I'm not out here trying to, bulldoze through everybody like the way that they are. Um, so it's just kind of like, they just I feel like they should not have underestimated the Dojo Defenders, even though they did defeat them. And now that I think about it, I would love to interview the disciplinarian and the rest of Team IQ Superior, but definitely, the disciplinarian, because of course, here on the show, we love Black women in wrestling. So getting to talk to her would be amazing because she has been on the show since we've started covering it. And it would just be really cool if we could talk to her. But yeah, like she was definitely, highlighted well in this match, and so was the Classmaster. So to see them, perform in this way was really good. But I do want more from my Dojo Defenders because I love them, especially Tara. So I just want them to succeed a whole lot more, and hopefully we'll see more of them, as we continue to go on in the season, and also, of course, moving on into the next season as we progress forward. So yeah, it's a lot of craziness in the tag team division. And you did mention top tier and the mess and sort of like the kind of feud that they have going on with the mother truckers. And a part of me wonders, like, what about your trios title? Like, who's going to challenge for that? But I guess we kind of have to wait and see for that. So after that match and after that promo, they showed another recap of Tormenta being the surprise tag partner to Princess Aussie as they fought and defeated Las Bandidas a couple weeks ago to defend the honor of Sophia Lopez. So they tied all of that in with this episode and the next episode as well. So I thought that was really cool. And then after that, they put a spotlight on Little J-Boogie, and we found out more about her story and her motivations. And of course, we found out that she is from North Carolina, so she's a Southern girl, just like me. And she was talking about how she basically got started in dance at the age of 10 and how she's trained in multiple disciplines of dance like jazz, hip hop, tap, and contemporary. And they showed multiple pictures of her, in different dance competitions and stuff. So she really is like a trained dancer and she still dances even now as she wrestles. And she mentioned how being a part of WoW was definitely a different part of her journey that she did not expect because she moved to Los Angeles, to follow the dream of being, a dancer. Well, like a lot of people do, they take all of their belongings and everything that they have and take all of their dreams and put it towards moving to the city. Basically, like a story that we've heard lots of people have. But when things sort of took a turn for her, she found wrestling and she wants to, continue to get better at it. And one thing that they did show in this spotlight is her continual improvement as she continued to wrestle on her own and also with the Brat Pack and even just the impressive match that she had with Chantilly Chella. Like it was just really cool to see that spotlight and to see more of what her motivations are. And she did state that she wants to be WoW World Champion. So that was really beautiful to see. And it's also been a while since they've done a spotlight on a WoW superhero. They did a whole lot of them, in the first season where we learned a lot about the girls. And then, of course, they do have them on YouTube if you have not seen those. And they did that a lot during the first season. So to see them do this for Lil J-Boogie, who had been on the show for so long at this point, was just really refreshing and really cool to see again. So, yeah, that was really cool. Katrina, did you get to see that part, and how did that make you feel?
I did not, but
Hmm.
I think it's nice. I to have, I guess, like so much. I wouldn't say like just belief in yourself or the drive to want to like kind of make a dream come true is always something I always think it's cool that anybody can take that risk. I'm too much of a like there's risk obviously I've taken. I'm a writer and I work in wrestling and there's risk obviously with that. But like to just kind of up and take everything is not something I don't know if I can actually do. Like to just kind of leave everything to just chance and not that you're not talented, it's not that, but those type of like careers in general, even the ones I like, it's so maybe it'll be a big thing. Maybe you'll make it. And so to kind of have that level of just belief in yourself to do that. I always think that's so cool. Anybody who can do that, I respect because I don't think I could just kind of give that much belief or put that much faith in something, even if I know I'm good, just to know that this may not work out well. And I'm thinking of all the things this way, this might not work. Not saying that's a good thing. I think anybody who can just do that, I think is pretty awesome. And so I thought it was, just that's a nice information. I do agree that we haven't gotten one of those in a while, especially about somebody new, where you kind of just get some background information. And that was something I actually did like about WoW. We kind of had a little bit of background information, kind of like if people remember like video game covers or video games back in the day when they used to give you fighter information in the book instead of just kind of being the game. It's like they just give you like a little bit of information. I just love those things. Maybe again, me being a reader and a writer, it's like, oh, this is cool. I want to know this about this. Me wanting to know background information, and so I think it's cool that they kind of let the audience know a little bit inside Lil J-Boogie.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I also look up to people who take risks like that too, because I was always taught that because I was always, kind of into creative stuff. And because growing up, I was always like saying that I wanted to sort of pursue something creative, or at the time, music. My mom would always say, like, of course, pursue that thing, but make sure you have something else to fall back on as well. And the thing that I did not know at the time was that, I'm actually a person that's good at a lot of different things and not just one thing. But that's another conversation for another day. You always have something to fall back on. And there are a lot of people like us, or like us who live ordinary lives, and have, regular full-time jobs to sort of keep them afloat while also feeding their interests as well. So risking it all and just doing it and betting on yourself is such a beautiful thing. But it also takes different forms for different people. And sometimes, you bet on yourself in another way. And she definitely took another way with betting on herself. And she found a new love, for this thing. And they've also mentioned how her mom was once upon a time a wild superhero. So, like it was just really cool to see that and to see her, find this other thing that she loved while also still pursuing dance and doing that as well too. So I'm excited to see the rest of her WoW journey, and I hope at some point she does become WoW World Champion because why not? Like why not? Like, cause she definitely is talented and she's really great, and she has a bubbliness and a happiness that just jumps off of the screen every time you see her. She's just beautiful. Like she just has everything that you need. So I really loved this segment and I hope she does go on to become champion one day. So this was wonderful. Um so after that we went to the main event of the episode, which was Reina Del Rey versus Tormenta. And Sophia Lopez came out with her. And there were two things that gagged me about Sophia Lopez when she came out with Tormenta. Number one, she came out with her natural hair out like a few weeks ago when she revealed that she had been um going to war with breast cancer, and in her chemotherapy, she would wear wigs on camera, but then she decided to stop wearing wigs. So she looked amazing with her short hair, first of all. And secondly, she wore a much shorter dress than we've seen her wear. But Miss Mama was looking amazing. Like she looked so beautiful. Like she looked very curvaceous. And I was just like, okay, Sophia, I see you. I really see you out here doing the attorney thing while also at the same time letting these people know that I am a baddie. And it was just really cute. And I loved it so much. Like we love Sophia Lopez, we support her. But Miss Ma'am was giving it to us. She was giving us fashion and she was giving us hair and face, and it was just really great. But this match was very hard hitting. It kind of reminded me of the triple threat that these two had with the Beast for the title back in season one of this iteration of WoW. And it was very hard hitting and really kind of spiteful in a sense. And it was just like really cool. I really enjoyed this match. Like, I just can't even describe how hard these women were going and just how they were just destroying each other back and forth. Tormenta, we saw a lot of everything that she does in order to just keep everything alive in this match. Her high flying, she hit a flying arm drag to Reina Del Rey. Reina was also, stomping and beating up on Tormenta and just trying to like keep her grounded and even like beating up on her outside of the ring. But Tormenta wasn't having that, and she was able to battle back and win the match after climbing the top rope for a Meteora, a la Mercedes Monet. I know other people do it, but it just is who it reminds me of. Um, so Tormenta won that match, and it was just really cool to see her get that victory because we've seen her lose lots of other high profile matches for the Wild World title and stuff like that. So to see her go up against someone as, imposing and devastating as Reina Del Rey, it was just really good and very refreshing. And yeah, Tormenta got the win here. And that's how Dangerous Divas wound up ending. It was ending with Tormenta celebrating in the ring with Sophia Lopez. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match?
I thought this was a really like hard hitting match. I think I definitely was one of the people who said that Tormenta kind of had a bit of a slightly entitled attitude, thinking that she deserved to kind of have all these title shots when she was losing. I do think, however, her kind of being paired up with a little bit with Princess Aussie might have helped change the outlook a little bit of kind of like just work and grind, and hopefully you'll get back in when you need to do it. When you need to get back there, you'll get there. And I'm hoping this is like the step because this was a solo match rather than a tag, and so hopefully this is a stepping stone to get her kind of back in the title picture if that's what she's trying to do. I just didn't think, not that I didn't think she was a good wrestler. I think she's a fantastic wrestler. It's just, I don't like entitlement too much. People think they're supposed to do something or they have to have, these things because XYZ. And I think that was a lot of what I was a bit annoyed by with her. Just, I'm like, girl, that's not how this works. If we all just decided we deserve 20 shots at things, I think we'll all be a lot happier if we all can do that, or whatever it is, maybe. And so, hopefully, this attitude and will go in as a good thing towards whatever she does towards the future. And if it leads her towards another title shot, then she would do whatever she can to win it. And not saying I want the Beast to lose anytime soon because I do not. It took too long for her to get it back. But what I'm saying is that was a big thing I had was like this level of entitlement for after losing as well. Like it's kind of like the same thing with like Miami Sweet Eat. Like y'all doing all this entitled level of entitlement, like relax a little bit and think about what you're like are we seeing the same thing kind of vibes? And so hopefully this level of just taking on somebody like Reina Del Rey, who's gave her like a bit tougher for her, and not like in like just tougher as in the kind of opponent she is, somebody who's going to probably be a bit more hard hitting than maybe other opponents. So I thought it was a really good match. I do think that hopefully this again will be something if she's trying to get back to being the champion or trying to get rather to make it to be champion well, then this is the way to do it and kind of just focus on herself in regards to what she can do in a way to make it there, rather than having the entitled attitude about what you think you should be having. Just grind. Do what you need to do to get back up there. With regards to, the beast, she literally did not lose it. I felt like she was probably the only person who should have been a bit entitled about anything because she never lost it technically. Hers was a very different situation than actually losing a match and never winning it or losing it after you actually, had the match and lost. That's two very different things. But I thought this was a fantastic match. I thought Tormenta and yes, Sophia looked absolutely fabulous. And again, lots of love to her. Hope she's also thriving as she, continues on her road to recovery.
Yeah, that is a very important piece I'm glad that you mentioned, being entitled. Yeah, there was a point where, before Tormenta turned a new leaf, that she was sort of being entitled to thinking that just because she is as good as she is, and because, she has held titles all over the world before, that she was always supposed to be in the Wild World title picture. And as great as she is, there's still so many women in WoW who are still just as good, if not a little bit, if not a little bit, on the same level as you, if not a little bit higher. And so the idea that you feel that should be getting these opportunities because of who you are, that's just not how the world works. And if this is Tormenta sort of those building her foundation back again, um with winning matches and sort of working her way up to that, then I definitely appreciate that, because it's like you said, nothing is ever you're never obligated to get anything. Like, you do have to, work and sort of get back to, you know why you started, and just figure out how you can improve your game so you can get back to the top. Like, it's not just something you just think you're just supposed to get. Like, that's being spoiled. And, spoiled people definitely find out that the world just does not revolve around them in that way. And people either take it and learn from it, or they just, crash and burn from it. And Tormenta, is clearly not crashing and burning from it. But there is something that I do wonder about, though. With Reina Del Rey having this match, and with her, hooking up with Adriana Gambino, who we really haven't seen a lot of in the past few weeks, I'm still wondering what that alliance is and why is it. Like, we haven't really seen anything come from it. Maybe we'll see it later, but I am sort of wondering where that's going to lead to, and if her losing this match might put her in a weird space with Adriana Gambino. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm just wondering about that. But either way, Tormenta definitely performed well. Both women performed really well. It was very hard hitting and very hard fought. And Tormenta, got a really great victory from it. And so that was really cool. So that's how that episode ended. And now we're going to move into this past weekend's episode, which, um, oh my gosh, I forgot the name of it just that quick. But either way, this past weekend, we had another episode show, and it started here again with a tag team match, but this episode had a different theme to it, in the sense that there were lots of members of a former faction having singles matches in this episode. So it was very interesting in from a storytelling perspective in that way. But the episode started with a tag team match between Siren the Voodoo Doll and Chainsaw, coming out with Angelica Dante versus Spring Break 24/7. And this match started in a very funny way, because Siren was cackling and laughing at Spring Break, and they kind of like backed up from her, and they were just like, "Oh my god, why are you doing this?" But then Chainsaw, wait, no, I think it was Chainsaw who got in the ring first, and they were trying to run from her because she roared at them. But then once Chainsaw tagged in Siren and she was laughing at them, Spring Break 24/7 started laughing back at her, and Siren didn't appreciate it. Um, so it was just really funny to see them afraid of Chainsaw, but then cackling at Siren. And of course, that would turn out to bite them in the behind later on. But in this match, it was very interesting with us covering the show and us seeing the trajectory of Spring Break 24/7. We've seen them be very playful and very fun, but not be fully locked in when it comes to matches. I felt like during the first half of this match, Sandy Shore and Crystal Waters were definitely locked in, because, of course, when you're going up against these two scary, strong women, you can't just come in and just, be all frolicky fun all the time. Like, they seemed pretty focused going into the match at first, but then eventually that wouldn't work as well, as Chainsaw would come in and just sort of, thrust them about and beat them up and all of the above. And it was just kind of scary to watch at one point. And even when it looked like Spring Break 24/7 was getting the upper hand again, um Sandy got knocked off of the apron, and Crystal had to basically, finish out the match alone. And Angelica Dante wound up pulling Sandy Shore off of the apron, and so she interfered on behalf of the creepy girls. And Crystal got planted with the chainsaw splash, and Chainsaw and Siren the Voodoo Doll wound up winning. But that wasn't enough for them. They proceeded to bully and beat up on Spring Break 24/7 after they won. But guess who came to their rescue? A sight for sore eyes. The Fierce Sisters, Foxy Fierce and her sister Roxy, came to the rescue and evened up the odds for Spring Break 24/7. And it was just so amazing to see because Black Girl Magic just gives me life every time I see it. And just to see them just come out, not only just being amazing Black women, but being sisters, just really just resonated with my soul. And I felt it in my stomach. Like I was just like, oh my God, look at them. They just looked so perfect together, and I just loved it. And they beat up on them, and then Foxy, of course, was getting a level of revenge on Chainsaw because she was the reason why she was out and injured for most of this season of WoW because of a backstage attack when she was going crazy. So the fact that she was getting that buck with her sister on her side, like it was definitely giving like big sister, little sister vibes. Like, when I'm with my sis, you can't F with me. Like that's just what it was giving. And it just felt really authentic to me. And I loved it. It was so cool. So they went to commercial, but then they came back from commercial and they talked. David McClain got in the ring and interviewed Roxy and Foxy. And he talked about the fact that they're both Howard University alum. Now, of course, that is one of the most famous historically Black colleges and universities in the country. So that was really cool. Shout out to them. And he asked them, how their parents felt about the both of them being into wrestling. And they said that their parents were being very supportive, even though it was unexpected. And Roxy was just talking about how, happy she is to fight side by side with her sister and how she's happy to learn from her sister and everything. So it was just giving everything that I needed at that point, and it was just really cool. So yeah, the Fierce Sisters are up in here, and Roxy just looked so beautiful with her locks and everything, and then you have Foxy and her fro, and it was just like, it was just so cool. So let me stop talking. Katrina, how did you feel about the match, and how did you feel about the debut of the Fierce Sisters?
I like the match. I do think that Spring Break, 24/7. I felt like this was they finally like they still kind of had some jokiness to them, but I felt like they were finally being semi more serious. And sometimes nothing wrong with having a lighthearted spirit, lightheartedness, but sometimes you gotta like take that away and be serious, and you gotta take that away and make sure you get the job done. And so I think in this match they did try to do that. However, you have somebody like a Chainsaw who usually gets pretty crazy during matches, after matches, before matches. She's just kind of acting all over the place. And, they've gotten that end of the stick because Chainsaw was like that, And it didn't help that, and Angela was there too and kind of was interjecting a bit. But I think in this regard, like even with Siren the Rudadar, and she's a good wrestler too, but Chainsaw seems like she can't really be controlled. And I feel like she kind of reacts off of like impulse, but it's usually one of like where it's angry. And so, well, girls of Spring Break 24/7, they kind of got the short end of the stick in that regard. With that being said, I do like that we got to see the Fierce Sisters. I love me some Foxy Fierce. I really do. And, I was sad we haven't really seen her this season. And so the fact that she's back and kind of had to get through that. And, I know we got to speak to her February, I believe. And, she was saying just kind of getting through the injury and everything like that. It was really nice to kind of see her back and then even, see that she's now with her sister. And as a older sister of two, I am the oldest, even though I am the smallest of them now. I am the oldest one, and so I'm crazy big sis, just like I'm crazy mom. And so like I'm very protective over my sisters as well, and so I definitely understood the whole like ooh, don't do it. Like, don't mess with my sister, because I understand that is definitely, I can be very a bit crazy if it comes to my sisters, or if I call somebody that's a friend of mine my sister, I'm probably going to be really overprotective as well. And so, like, that I definitely understood the reference of, yeah, I felt that close, because that's exactly how I am, where like I'm like, I'm my sister's keeper. I got her. And so it's really nice to see, sisters, another set of sisters in there, but just to kind of see them both be like great and fabulous in their own rights. I always say that, Foxy is so fabulous, and I think her sister's pretty, Roxy's pretty fabulous too. So I can't wait to see what we're gonna get from the girls. But I'm happy that Foxy's back. I'm happy that they're kind of together. I'm looking forward to see how they're gonna tear up the tag division, because I feel like that's right. I'm ready to see it. Black Girl Magic, I should said it previously, but yeah, it was a good match otherwise.
Yeah, it was a good match. And it's just, I'm just like, when it happened and when I was taking notes, I was just like, with the Fierce sisters, there's just like, with it's like them, and then there's like two other sets of black female twins in wrestling. It's like you got the Renegade twins, and then you have the Vanity twins, and it's just, and now you have the Fierce sisters. Like, I just can't, like, I just can't even, like, the idea, it's already amazing when you see black women being single stars, but the idea of twins, or like the idea of sisters being like in a tag team together, it's just, it's so rare, but when you get it, it's just so beautiful. And I'm just so happy that all of these, tag teams exist in women's wrestling. Like, it's just so amazing. So it just really like blessed my mind and my soul, to see that. I feel like the only thing that would have made that better was if it happened like Juneteenth weekend. Like, that would have just sent me over the moon. But it sent me over the moon anyway. But if it happened during Juneteenth, I would have been like, yes! Like, I would have just like been ready to go. But it was just so amazing to see them both just standing there together and fighting together. Like, I low key want them to be tag champs so bad. Like, it would just be so cool. It would eat down in such a major way. Like, I would love it so much. But of course, you got to take your baby steps. So I'm just really crunk about that. And hopefully, we can have both the sisters on the show together again and interview them. But either way, that was just amazing. And I just love how they came to the defense of Spring Break 24/7. Like, it was just really cool. But that darn Angelica Dante just had to just insert herself, because it's like I always say, it pays to have a manager in WoW. Because if you do, you are guaranteed to win matches and get more bidding on your behalf. So, yeah, it was unfortunate to see Spring Break lose that way, especially since they seemed a little bit more focused this time. But, I am glad that the Fierce sisters came to their defense. So, yes. Um, I was so excited. I could not wait to talk about them, because that they just blessed my eyes. I just I just couldn't. Oh, let me calm down. Get back to business. So, match number 2. Okay, I'm sorry. Match number 2, we had Ice Cold versus Ariel Sky. And this, of course, was the start of the series of matches that we got from former members of Exile. And of course, you have Ariel Sky coming off the heels of her victory with the Mother Truckers up against Top Tier. So she's still out here proving herself, without a team and all of the above. And this match was really good. Like, I feel like because Ariel Sky has so much of, an in-ring acumen from her time in and out of WoW, and with Ice Cold and her abilities, like, it was definitely a little bit different. And they both have, I believe, gymnastics background, so sort of seeing the way that they were maneuvering out of their different moves and stuff was very fascinating to watch. Like, these two women, um were amazing. I really enjoyed this match. It was hard hitting, but it was also very calculated, and they really did an excellent job here. Like, I wound up taking like so many notes. It was really bad how many notes I was taking for this match, because they were just maneuvering in and out of different moves. As you can see, Ariel Sky used a handstand to get free from a choke that Ice Cold had on her in her legs. Like, it was just an amazing match between both of these women, and Ice Cold continues to get better the more we see her wrestle. And I almost feel that her in Exile, of course, you saw like pockets of her improvement in Exile, but whenever you see her wrestle a singles match, that's where you see how amazing she's gotten since she started at WoW. And she's just really good. And to watch Ariel sort of put on a show with her was just really great. But Ariel wound up winning this match by maneuvering out of Ice Cold's suplex attempt after, of course, a couple of kicks and everything. And then she rolled her up for the 1, 2, 3, and Ariel won. And as she was celebrating her win, out comes top tier because, of course, they want to be miserable. They want to beat up on Ariel Sky further and make her feel bad, and they just kept attacking her. But the mother truckers didn't come out and help Ariel Sky this time. The All American girls, Santana Garrett and Americana, came out and helped Ariel this time. And after they beat up top tier and got them away from her, they were celebrating with the fans and the fans were chanting Ariel's name. And Ariel cut a promo and said, Coach Campanelli, what you did to me a few weeks ago when I was with the mother truckers, I just couldn't believe it. I thought I proved myself to you already. I beat you. I'm sick. I'm sick of being your water girl. Why don't you be my water girl, coach? I told you once that I'm a wrestler, so I'm done with you. I found some real friends at WoW that have my back. So how about a rematch with myself and my new friends at WoW? Because top tier is bottom. So hopefully at some point we will see a 6-woman tag team match between top tier and Ariel Sky. I feel like that would be a really amazing match because clearly top tier is still out here trying to, break the spirit. See what I did there of Ariel Sky, but it's just for what? Like she's out here proving that she can stand on her own 2 feet. So why is it that you guys still feel the need to gang up on her? It's just really frustrating. So Katrina, how did you feel about this match between Ice Cold and Ariel Sky and what happened afterward?
I thought it was a good match. I to your point of Ice Cold, kind of we've definitely seen her, like, before when she was kind of solo, we kind of like saw a little bit, but then when she did join Exile, I felt like she was kind of forced to kind of showcase the other skills she had. And I think that every time we've seen her wrestle by herself, she really has shown what she can do, and like even her own technical skills that I wouldn't have seen like last season. I thought she's really been doing. With that being said, I thought it was a really good match, and me being semi-biased because I do know Ariel Sky, it's always nice to kind of see her being able to do her background in gymnastics, and you can kind of see that in her matches. I think that was great. I'm glad she got a win too, because I feel like her last couple of matches has been focused around Coach Campanelli, and then focused around Coach and Crush and Gloria Glitter, where it was like this was kind of nice that she kind of had a match and a win that was a little bit outside of that. Now, yeah, they kind of came and did all that afterward, but I felt like it was kind of nice just to see her wrestle in just that, and it was just her wrestling against somebody and not necessarily trying to like defend herself against situation or ask what was going on. I personally, I mean, I don't know if maybe this is just me because I'm just like I don't call everybody a friend. I really don't. I feel like you have to earn that. And I feel like acquaintance is fine, but everybody ain't a friend. And I feel like like not saying this is nothing against the American girls. It's just like you can't just be taking friends all this quickly. Like use some discernment, like make sure you're a little bit more smart this time. And I'm not saying that they would do anything mean to her. It's not even that, but like after the situation with Coach, you just already gung ho to be like, okay, friends, like whoa, like just be a little bit more cautious going in. That's all I'm saying. But I do think like if they with her teaming up with them and taking on top tier again, maybe with the win this would leave top tier to kind of leaving her alone, like just leave her alone after all of this. I do think this would be a good win if she gets it with them, and since they had their own issue with the other girls as well, this would be this would be a good way to, hopefully move on past top tier.
Yeah, the thing that frustrates me now that I sit and think about it, it's like Coach is just really mean because how this woman beat you for her freedom from being your water girl, and then she beat you in six woman tag action. Like, what more does she have to do in order to prove that she is, a top dog and doesn't deserve to be treated bad by you? It's almost like they don't want to believe or don't want even, or I guess on a deeper level doesn't even want Ariel to believe that she's that girl. And it is just so frustrating, like, because I feel like honestly, if top tier was really as top tier as they say they are, they would defend their trios title more, number one. And number two, they would be in competition a whole lot more instead of just focusing all their time on bullying Ariel Sky. They really need to shift their focus to other things, because when was the last time we really saw Gloria Glitter and Candy, well, and Crush in action, in terms of singles work? It's been all Coach. And it's just really frustrating for me how they just keep ganging up on Ariel Sky because she wanted her freedom and because she wanted to prove to the woman who embarrassed her that she can, be on her own. And they just keep jumping her, and it's just really frustrating for me. Like, stop it. She beat you two times. Eat it. Like, just eat it and deal with it. But they don't want to do that. But I do understand what you're saying in terms of calling everyone a friend. Like, everybody, isn't your friend, immediately. Like, you do have to sort of watch people, because I understand being friendly, and you wanting to believe in the best in people, but that can only go so far until they show you, the worst of themselves, and then, you're kind of in shock and they're not your friend again, or anymore. So it's just really weird, but at the same time, I am glad that the All American girls did come to her rescue. They haven't shown any signs of being a negative influence as of yet, since they've gotten together. So I think maybe Ariel would should be fine with them. It should be okay. So hopefully, once that match gets started, I hope that Ariel does finally, beat top tier off of her once and for all. And because she just deserves that, and they really just need to just leave her alone and refocus on what it is they're supposed to be doing instead of, being spiteful and bullying her. Like, how much more do you need to embarrass this girl? Like, how much more do you need to embarrass her? Like, stop. It's just really gross. So, yeah, Ariel deserves the world, and I'm glad that she got more comeuppance. So it's gonna be fine. So match number three was a rematch from a few months ago. And of course, this is a part of the former Exile um series of matches that we've got. It's Keita Rush, the Bully Buster, versus Exodus. And the first time these two women fought this season, it was really cool. It was an amazing match because both of these women are evenly matched when it comes to their MMA background. But of course, a part of the story in this match is the fact that when they were in the ring together the last time, Keita locked in an arm bar, but then it looked like one of her shoulders was on the mat, but then it looked like Exodus was also tapping out, so that match ended in a no contest. So in this match, there had to be a winner. So this match was very enjoyable. You saw Exodus sort of coming in hot, in the beginning of the match, pushing Keita Rush and just being a little bit rough with her, not even on some MMA stuff, but just on some I'm ready to fight stuff. And of course, she's still holding on to levels of anger from the way that Exile ended. And she was rubbing Keita's face onto the ropes, and she was just really aggressive. And she locked in a chokehold towards her, but then Keita, of course, was able to move out of it and um trying to lock in an armbar, basically the same way that happened in their first match, which led to the no contest. But Exodus showed an amazing show of strength here by lifting up Keita and slamming her into the turnbuckles. And I just had no clue Exodus was that strong. But she really did that. And I was just like, okay, Exodus, I see you. But as Exodus continued to beat up on Keita for multiple different pinning attempts, Keita was able to fight back with a series of punches and a head scissors and a series of drop kicks. And then Exodus fought back with a snap suplex, with clubbing blows, and then she tossed Kita out of the ring. But then once Kita climbed back onto the apron, she was able to like kind of just hit she was able to sling Exodus's body forward onto the ropes, and then she hit a springboard crossbody off of the top rope and pinned Exodus. And Kita Rush won. So there was a definite winner here. Kita won. And after she won, David McClain interviewed her, and Kita mentioned that she just felt really good after getting this win, and she felt incredible and like a champion of life, and that the advice that she would give to her students is the advice that she would give to everybody by saying, with patience and persistence, anything is possible, and never give up. So that was really cool, and I'm glad that Keto won. More Black Girl Magic. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match?
I thought it was a really good match. I think, we didn't have a clear winner the first time. And so this time, I think both the ladies was trying to make sure we knew like what they were doing and very more clear on it. I was actually very impressed also as well with Exodus because, yes, Miss Mayhem definitely had some strength I didn't know she had. And that to be able to just kind of lift it in that way and spam. I'm like, okay, all right, sis. But I thought both ladies really kind of gave it their all. I thought there's a lot of technical work from both ends. But it was a really good win for Keta Rush. We haven't seen her a little bit. It's been a little bit. And so it's always nice that, you can kind of see somebody come back and also get the win. But I thought this was a really fantastic match. I thought both ladies really did their thing. But, they had to be a winner. And in this regard, it just happened to be Keta Rush.
Yeah, it was really great, and I'm so happy that Keto won because there are just certain moments where she'll almost win, but then her opponents will get the upper hand on her. So I was really happy to see her win this rematch, and I was just really excited when they announced that this match was happening because of how evenly matched they are, and it was just a really great showing for all of them. Even though Exodus was a little bit more aggressive, in the early going, and it wasn't like this match wasn't it was technically sound, but it wasn't as technically sound as their first match, but it was still just as good. And I just really appreciated Keto winning and also giving that inspiring message at the end. Sometimes you do have to be persistent and patient, even though it's hard, because Lord, I am an impatient person. I am very impatient, especially when it comes to things that I want. And, but sometimes you do have to sort of, pound the pavement and work hard, and then the right opportunities will find you. And I just love Kita's, encouraging presence in WoW, and just her presence in the MMA community and fighting in general, because she has her own gym where she inspires kids and everything. So it's just really cool to see her get this type of win and be as inspiring as she always is. So that was great. Now, after the match, they had a recap of Exile's journey, and all of the miscommunications which led to their dissolve meant in dealing with Genesis sort of centering herself and her putting herself before Exodus and Ice Cold, and every time they tried to get a victory, she would just yank them out of the way and get the victory herself. And then of course it ended with showing that triple threat match that Genesis won without really winning, and it was just kind of interesting to sort of see the journey of how everything started to fall apart for them. Once upon a time, they seemed on the same page, but it was just really interesting to see all of that happen. And just to see Genesis, just censor herself all the time and not even care about how her team looks. Like, she was always trying to make herself look good at the expense of others. And that was pretty sucky. So, yeah, they showed that recap. But then afterward, they announced that this coming weekend, we will get a WoW World Champion title defense as the Beast takes on the Classmaster. This should be interesting because both of these women are very substantial and statuesque and strong women, and I can't wait to see how the Classmaster is going to fight the Beast. And I do wonder if she's going to bring IQ Superior out there with her to start some shenanigans with the Beast, because I mean, That's something that IQ Superior likes to do a lot. I just wonder how that's going to work, but I am excited to see that match this weekend. Katrina, are you excited, or what do you think is going to happen in the match between the Beast and the Classmaster?
I think the Beast is winning, but I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be a good match. I do think that that you have somebody who's also, as again, Classmaster does have size to her. So I think it'll be a very solid match between them. But I don't see the Beast losing her title just yet. So we will still have her as champion, but I do think it'll be a awesome match.
Yeah, it's going to be a powerful match. Like, if anything, regardless to how it's going to turn out, even though I feel confident the Beast is going to win, just like you, it's going to be a powerful match. So I am looking forward to seeing that this weekend, along with anything else that they have in store for us this coming weekend on Wow. So we move towards the main event, which was Princess Aussie versus Genesis. And this was interesting because both of these women are from the beautiful country slash continent of Australia. And it just made me think about when Elimination Chamber this year was in Australia, and just it just made me feel like, man, it would be so cool if Princess Aussie was there, like, and how amazing of an opportunity that would be for her, if that's the case. But that's not to say that these women can't ever make it, because they can. Um, like, if they ever get in a pay-per-view or a PLE for any company that decides to go to Australia, I'll be so happy for them, because that I just feel like this would have been amazing. But before we get into this match, Katrina, I want to ask you something. Who do you think would win in a match between Princess Aussie and Rhea Ripley?
Now, I do love some Princess Aussie. She's good. She's been nothing but kind to me and you, and so she's cool. But this is my bias, totally speaking here. I love me some Rhea Ripley. I love Rhea Ripley for a long time. Like before she got became mommy, before the black hair, before the short hair, I have been a Rhea Ripley fan, and so as great as I think Princess Aussie is, and Princess Aussie is great, and I do think it'll be if we ever got that, it'll be a fantastic match. I really do think both ladies will show us some stuff. My very biased heart in regards to how much I love me some Rhea Ripley will take Rhea, because I will always it's more of a just I will always probably take Rhea, like, because I love her so much. I saw something earlier that was like, when she comes back, it's gonna feed families. I was like, yes, I will be fed. I will be nourished. I'm like, I am impatiently waiting for her return, so she can flip up, live as deserved. Okay, because I'm tired of her. I'm like, listen, Rhea, come back and do what you need to do. And so this is just me being very biased that I love Rhea Ripley. And so it's very, 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 very rare. I would say the opposite of her, just because I love her so much. But I do think it'll be a fantastic match. And please don't take it anyway, Princess Aussie. I think you're fantastic. It's just I literally have a very weird bias with Rhea. This is years in. This is years in with me, Rhea. It's been, when they thought she was going to be Charlotte Flair, I was there with Rhea Ripley. Like, that was my girl since then. So, obviously it's even better now that everybody else is on the train that I've always was on. But yeah, I think it'll be a fantastic match. But I would definitely, just because I am so biased. Like, her is somebody I would love to meet and just be like, girl, listen, girl. Um, so sorry, but Rhea.
Yeah, I understand that. And Princess Aussie, we definitely love you so, 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 so much. Actually, I feel like from a nerdy standpoint, I could stand to see them like in a best of four or best of seven series, just to see, who would, get the upper hand in each match, just to see all of the innovative ways they could destroy each other. Because I'm just a big fan of matches like that, where you have the same two opponents, having matches back and forth, but then making it like a high stakes situation, or maybe even an Iron Woman match, because it's been so long since we've seen that. So I feel like if Princess Aussie and Rhea were in like an Iron Woman match, I feel like that would be really sick. Um, that would just be really sick. But I'm just a weirdo that way. But I understand how you feel. I understand how you feel, because both of these women are just so gifted and they're so good. And I just had to ask that question because they're both Australian, and Rhea is just a huge star at this point, when it comes to, her and her representation of being an Australian woman and just her beauty and everything. And also congratulations to her. She just got married, to Buddy Matthews, who is also Australian. So yeah, it's just a lot of Australia vibes. Um, P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, like I just feel like that would be the most amazing thing ever. But you've said what you said, but I've said what I want, and I would just prefer to see them fight like in a match where the stakes are raised. But and we'll just see what happens. But we do love you, Princess Aussie, and we're definitely gonna sing your praises in this match because the way that Genesis and Princess Aussie fought in this match, you would think that they've been watching each other for years, literally for years. Because the way that they were blocking each other and scouting each other's move sets was just out of this world. Like for every time Princess Aussie was trying to like hit Genesis, Genesis would duck it and like knock her down another way, or Genesis would do the same to Ozzy, or Ozzy would do the same to Genesis. It was just really sick stuff. And I was just like, yo, like, have you guys been watching each other this entire time while we weren't looking? Because they just had each other scouted so well. Genesis was kicking down Ozzy, but yet Ozzy wasn't giving up. Like Ozzy was just trying really hard to beat up on Genesis, but Genesis wasn't giving up. It was almost to the point to where Ozzy had to sort of just change stuff around because, excuse me, usually when Princess Ozzy gets ready to get the momentum on her side, she'll hit like the cutter from down under and then go up for her Aussie splash. But she couldn't even do that with Genesis at this point because Genesis just had everything scouted so well. And Princess Aussie wound up winning the match after Genesis kind of just got a little bit too cocky at a certain point, and she wound up winning the match with an Angel Wings DDT, which was very different because of what I said earlier with the way that Princess Aussie usually wins her matches. But Aussie really did, fight tooth and nail for this victory over Genesis here. And she changed up the entire game to fight her. And it was just like really good. I enjoyed this match very much. I can stand here again to see these two fight again one day. But yeah, Princess Aussie won. And then after she won, she led the crowd into an Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi chant. And that's how the episode ended. And with this episode being exile themed, all three members, all three former members of Exile wound up losing their matches. And I'm wondering what that is going to mean for them in the future. Like, could this stand for a reunion one day, or to where they'll figure out like maybe they're stronger together, or will this just be more ammunition for all of them, or maybe two or just one of them to go forward in their singles career? I just wonder what that's going to mean, but I do think that that's interesting. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match between these two Australian divas?
Oh, this was a fantastic match. You know, it says something when any opponent can work that hard to see if they can beat you. I feel like if you have to change up this much of what you would normally do, or it's to the point where you might do something that you normally do often enough that you can be is prepared for. I feel like Princess Aussie, like, kind of have to like, maybe I need to just with other matches change things up so I won't be scouted this good. I think, and this Genesis really, really kind of like gave her like business in regards to just how well thought out I felt like she took this. I do think her ego was kind of the reason why, it went the other way. Because again, sometimes I'm a firm believer in you do things, but you don't celebrate until it's done. Or that this is you mentioned Kobe earlier, but Kobe was good for saying that. You don't celebrate until you can celebrate. It's not over until it's over. And so you can't be celebrating or getting yourself like, "Ooh, I did all this." And then it ain't over, and now here we are. But now you got a loss because you did that one thing you probably shouldn't have done. But I think this was a fantastic match. I really thought that both ladies really did, like, gave it. They really did. But just kudos to Genesis in the regards that she literally was very well, like, she watched, and I respect any opponent if you're going that hard to make sure, like, I'm gonna give this is gonna be hard for you. I'm gonna make this hard. Like, if you got to beat me, well, at least I kind of gave everything I can give in this regard. And so I thought it was fantastic. I thought I did see Genesis mention she wanted a rematch. I believe on her Instagram. I thought I saw she put that. And so I don't know. We get all these other matches sometimes, like, back to back. So if y'all want to run it back soon, I will not be opposed to it be ran back quite soon or sooner than we might get it. I'm perfectly fine with that. She did say she wanted a rematch, but this was a really great way to end the episode. I thought both ladies really absolutely killed it. But Princess Aussie is what Princess Aussie do, and I think it even makes sense with the chant because both of them are Australian, and so kind of have that chant worked. I feel like either way it worked because both of them are from Australia. But fantastic match.
Yeah, it was very fantastic. Like, and if they definitely, and I definitely agree with you, like, if they can run it back, then please, by all means, do it. Because I am here for watching it. Like, it was just so, so good. And clearly, Genesis is very hungry to prove herself more. So it's just going to be really great. These two episodes were pretty fantastic. So yeah, like, it was just really good stuff. And I just can't wait to see what this weekend has in store for this episode. So, yeah, that's the end of our time together. Thank you guys so much for watching this double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk WoW. Of course, if you want to watch more of WoW superheroes on television, you can go on their website on wowe.com and type in your city or your state or your zip code, and then it will tell you where it airs for you on what day. Of course, if you are in Alabama, just like me, it comes on my network 68 on Saturdays at 6 p.m. unless otherwise stated, because y'all know we have random sports down here in Birmingham. But it usually comes on it between the hours of 6 and 8, or like 9 if a little bit later. And of course, you can also watch the matches the week after the episode airs on their YouTube channel, which is Wow Superheroes. And they also have merchandise on Pro Wrestling Tees. So please, check out that fresh merchandise stuff if you love supporting people with merch. That's a really cool thing. And of course, once you finish watching the show, you can come back and join us on Wednesdays or any other day that we might announce our episodes, might be on, and then you can talk WoW with us. So, um, so yeah, that is the end of our episode. I don't know exactly when our next episode is going to air next week because I will be traveling. And well, okay, I feel like now is probably a good time to say this because I haven't said it publicly for reasons, but since it's official now, I can say it. Since this is the Hardy Wrestling Podcast halfway, um, HWP got accepted to do media credentials for Money in the Bank in Toronto, Canada. And I am so excited and really nervous, but really excited because number one, I haven't been out of the country in 10 years. And I'm just really excited because I've never been to Canada. And I'm also excited because this is a great opportunity for the brand and for me as a wrestling media person. This is the second time I'm able to go and be credentialed at a WWE media thing. The first time being at Survivor Series War Games, which is, of course, a really big event in Chicago that took place last November. And Katrina was there with me. So that was amazing. And I'm just really excited and just really nervous about it because Money in the Bank is a huge thing. Um, and I'm just really happy. And this is my first time really saying it out loud on the platform. And I'm just really excited about it. So if we do decide to reschedule the episode, then that's probably why it's going to be rescheduled, but we're going to still have it regardless. So yeah, that's what's happening with me on my end. So, Katrina, thank you so much for joining me on the show. And just tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You guys can follow me on most social media and Cat We Trust, everything, the E's of three, except for Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Just kind of keep track of my YouTube channel. It's been extremely hectic on the mom end, and so I have been so behind with everything, and that's kind of part of the reason why everything has been back, changed up a lot of the dates sometimes too. Is I just had things happening on days and it was like I can't make both of this happen as much as I would love to do both at the same time. So just kind of keep track of my YouTube channel to see the new stuff that I do have coming now that I have a little bit more time and is not too focused on being present for my girlies. Just kind of keep up that way.
Awesome sauce. And know that you can follow me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter/X at Queen Steph Hardy. Listen to the show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, everywhere you get your podcast, audio wise. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel where you can see every episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow and every interview that we've ever done, as well as, HWP Extra and any regular episodes of HWP that I've done. I may do an episode this weekend, but then, I'm also still preparing for said trip, so I might not. So, if I don't do one, it's fine. But either way, it's just it's been really crazy. But I also want to thank those people who came to the is it cool to be a black wrestling fan panel at the African American Comic Expo down here in Birmingham that was had by Blurred over. I want to thank them again for having me and just thank you guys for coming and being a part of the conversation. It was really cool to do along with Jonathan Judge from Burma Slam. So that was just really amazing. And just be on the lookout and read all of my articles on Daily DDT. I haven't written things because I've been doing stuff, but either way, just read all of my past articles, especially the one I wrote about Megan Thee Stallion being a mainstream star that WWE needs to get on their show. And just continue to support the vibe because, yeah, and of course, any posts that I make next week between my travels and also everything media wise, just be on the lookout for that as well because it's a big deal. And hopefully, I won't explode into tears. So, this has been Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and in Cat We Trust. And until next time, bye, y'all.